I just want you to understand the heart of God. In Luke 15, there's a story that Jesus tells about a prodigal son. I think we've all heard it, right? Here's this guy. He takes his inheritance, and he goes out, and he blows it. He just blows his dad off. He lives just a horrible life. And so there he is, and he's like, I've sinned against my father. I've sinned against everybody. I've made a mess of my life. And now he's literally eating his dinner in a pig's trough. And so he starts thinking about how good he had it at his father's house. And so he thinks, you know what, I'm going to go back there and I'll beg him for a job. And maybe he'll just let me work with like all of his servants. At least they eat better than this. And so he goes back to beg his father if he can be forgiven and just have that position of the servant. And the beautiful part about the story isn't just that the dad receives him to himself, it's how his dad receives him. Because what happens is you see the father, and he sees him coming, and the text makes it clear he saw him coming from a long way off. And you know what that means? That means that dad spent his days looking as far down the road as he could, watching for his son to come back every single day. See, today he's going to come back. And I imagine that, Father. I put myself in his position, and I imagine me looking and finding where's the farthest point in the road that I can see. I want to watch for the faintest hint of my son. Oh, it's right there, and that's where I'm going to look every single day. Well, I tell you that story because what we see in the next 3 verses here, we see the heart of the father for the prodigals. Verse 20, he says, now while I was speaking, this is Daniel saying, look, he's begging the Lord. He's in this place. 2 minutes here and we're done. While I was speaking, praying, and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, and presenting my supplications before the Lord my God for the holy mountain of my God, yes, while I was speaking in prayer, the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, you might want to circle or underline that, reached me about the time of the evening prayer. This would have been about 3 p.m., the time of the evening prayers. When you read that, it kind of sounds like, it took him a long time to reach him. We're going to see that it didn't. That's just the way it sounds right now. Verse 22, and he informed me and talked with me and said, "O Daniel, I have now come forth to give you skill to understand. At the beginning of your supplications," underline that, at the beginning of your supplications, at the farthest point down that road, the beginning of your supplications, the command went out, and I have come to tell you, for you are greatly beloved. Give me your attention. This is the heart of the Father, watching for that prodigal to say, look, I've just been watching and waiting for you to cry out to me. Daniel, you are greatly beloved. And listen, the Lord would say that to you today. No matter where you're at, no matter what you've done, no matter how much of a mess you've made of your life, the Lord is looking for you just to turn and to confess and to cry out to Him.